How do you promote content?
Well, we promote content in many different ways. For example, if you have produced a piece of video and you might have it on your own site, well then you can embed it on your site from YouTube. And on YouTube you could promote it via social media channels. If you have a presence on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, you could promote it there. Obviously you can also do it in display banners as part of a retargeting setup. There's many different ways of promoting content. And also it could be, if you have an app, for example, it could be a traditional campaign that goes on TV promoting the app. So promoting content can have many different phases.
And you mentioned putting something on TV in a campaign. A campaign, ordinary campaign, is a time-limited event, yeah. But content stays for a long time. So how do you track the effect of content?
Well, when we talk digitally, then we're blessed with the possibilities of tracking everything. We can track time spent and behavior, click-throughs, where people came from, where they're going. So in that way, we can really track a lot of things about how people engage with our content. However, obviously there's some content where if you only look at click-through and you only look for the same amount of time you would, for example, as in a campaign, you'd say, okay, over these 3 months we haven't gotten enough click-throughs for it to matter or earn itself back in the cost we had of producing it and placing the media. However, good content will keep its relevance. That means over time it can build up a lot of impressions, a lot of exposure, which will help SEO-wise and will really qualify it as probably often in a lot of companies, relevant content has over time a larger effect than traditional advertisement.
And how can social media be used to publishing and promoting this content?
I think that social media is essential in this way. Basically because when we add social media, and when we have a social media presence, we could either, for example, just have tactical offers and we say, okay, this week you can buy our product, $9.99 in Netto, and you can go down there and that's it. Or you can say, just use it for image advertisement, which you say, hey, look at our new commercials, we rock, we're hot, look at us. And none of it is very engaging. But proper content is a great way of engaging a customer. It could be polls and surveys or crowdsourcing ideas for content pieces. So it could be a lot of different things. And there's a lot of call to actions involved in it. What we think that, this happened with our brand in 1985, a great way of using your company history to sort of solidify yourself, your presence, and telling people that your brand has history, and that means that certain credibility and quality is associated with it. But putting that to play with proper content, asking people, what do you think? What was your experience? Do you remember the first Sony Walkman or whatever? So I think that social presence is very important as far as promoting your product goes. And you can't have a social presence without proper content. So those things go very much hand in hand.
So going hand in hand, proper content and a good social media presence. Looking at tracking and measurement, what tools do you use to track and measure content and campaign effect?
Well, we use an array of tools. We use Hootsuite as a publishing tool for our social platforms. We can use search metrics also to gather impressions and learn a little about how this content is performing SEO-wise. We use a number of different tools. Some clients use software such for their social media. There's a number of different platforms out there, and so we have a trained personnel to sort of integrate with those different platforms. If they're used to having reports from those, then we use those. Otherwise, we use our own. But yeah, I think when you talk about monitoring your campaigns and measuring it, what's really important is actually there's so much data out there today that it's very easy to drown in it. So it's our role as a gatekeeper to find out what's important for the client to actually look at. And normally we only come with 10 findings every month maybe, and only those that actually has an action, suggested action attached to it. Because otherwise it's just data, and it might be interesting to look at, but you'll drown in it and you won't have time to look at it. So yeah.